you can get pills through the mail. And yet the anti-abortion movement is very creative in its ways to oppose abortion and to control women. And so, that's just a little too much control for us to have. So, hence this, court case that's been in the works for a long time with anti-abortion groups, so that, they can say, no, that this is really damaging for women. We've got to put a stop to it. You can't get pills through the mail. And there's been so much manufactured misinformation about the safety of this drug. So let's talk a little bit about that, because there's such a strong propaganda campaign.
It is so wild. And I just want to say one thing before we get to that. And that is, one of the major things I think about to the control piece is, this is a case of the dog catching the car. It's like you wanted to shut abortion clinics down, but your kink is literally screaming at women going there. And part of the reason they're so mad about the pill giving us that emancipation is they can't scream outside of our bedrooms and our houses, right? So the history of the pill is a really important one to talk about, right? It came on the market. It was invented in France in 1988. And it was on the market in Europe from 1988 until 2000. And in Europe, they actually use it for longer gestational ages than we do. We use it here up until 10 weeks. And in Europe, they use it up until 12 weeks. It was approved here in the year 2000. And it came onto the market very slowly. It has had hundreds of studies. And when I say hundreds of studies, I literally mean hundreds of studies every step of the way. And when it first came on the market, you could only take it until 7 weeks, and you had to get it only through a doctor, and you would have to take the first pill at a clinic. So, I mean, most people don't even know they're pregnant at 7 weeks. And so the pill wasn't used that much, but it was used safely. And it was during COVID when it became, they said, it's safe enough. We've had so many studies. We've continued our studies throughout, and people have been taking it. And in Europe for 18 years or 12 years, they took it up until 12 weeks. And so we expanded our access to 10 weeks. And then also that you could do it through telehealth. And so you could get the pills through the mail, which was a game changer, right, for people. And then that has stayed till now. So if you want to just get a little taste of efficacy of this pill, it's safer than Viagra, safer than Tylenol, first of all, in all of the studies. And about 7.5 million Americans have used it in this 25 years that it's been on the market. Of that 7.5 million people, the reported, and this is reported deaths that could be associated with the pill, not proven, associated with the pill, is 35. The number is 35. I don't know what drug has given anybody a safer thing, but they don't know what to do around it. So what we've seen is the anti-abortion movement has really started making up some really wild stuff. One thing is they've said that there is now, because so many people are using the pill, that there's abortions in our drinking water, which literally an organization called Students for Life is pushing this out. The state of Wisconsin has leapt on this and tried to pass a law that's called a catch law, which means that if you prescribe medication abortion, you are supposed to use this kit that is basically a sieve that you put in your toilet. And as you are passing your pregnancy, you catch the pregnancy and then send it off to a doctor who verifies it for the government that it's a miscarriage and that it's not an abortion. And then it supposedly stops it for the nefarious people who happen to be, I don't know, passing bodily fluids in a toilet. I don't know if you've ever done that, Susan, but I feel like I have a couple, 2-3 times. I'll just admit it. So it's really wild because you're like, are you drinking wastewater? Like, are you confused? Like, I feel terrified. And even Patty Murray questioned when Lee Zeldin spoke before the Senate committee. And Lee Zeldin, for your viewers, is the head of the EPA. And she said, many anti-abortion organizations are claiming they've had audience with you and your staff, and that you've agreed that you're going to look into whether or not there's abortions in the water. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I've never heard of that. And she's like, really? Well, you should talk to them. And no sooner did that back and forth happen, did Students for Life come out with a statement saying, and this is psychotic, how dare Lee Zeldin, when we have showed up at his office with tons of wastewater that contained abortions. And I'm like, I don't know, who's your procurer of wastewater? Like, what kind of insanity is that? And so it is, Josh Hawley is sort of, there's people that are introducing this concept into the Senate. It's being introduced into bills. And so now we've got this Louisiana case that you were referring to, right, about sending abortion pills through the mail. And the Fifth Circuit has had cases come through there as well, which they're trying to push to the Fifth Circuit. Is it dangerous for the environment when these people have never cared about the environment in their lives?
Right.
But I think the thing that's a pretty big deal to talk about within this Louisiana case, where they're saying you shouldn't be able to send medication abortion from a state that's medication is legal. So if a person, for example, the Louisiana case is, if you're a Louisiana citizen and you have a telehealth conference with a doctor in a state where abortion is legal, in this case it's New York, the doctor can legally prescribe you the medication because it's legal in New York, right, and send the pills to Louisiana. Now, Louisiana's saying that goes against our law. And it's like, well, I'm not in Louisiana prescribing medication. I'm in New York and sending them. So, the tricky part of all of this is this law doesn't protect the person receiving the pills. So that's also something to think about. But also, they're digging up this old ass law called the Comstock Act, right?
Which is 19th century.
Yes, 80s. And it's been lying dormant, and it's been chipped away a little bit, but it's been lying dormant. And if you think that it's just like crackpots who are digging this up, 173 members of Congress and the Senate signed an amicus brief to the Supreme Court when they were looking at the safety and efficacy of Mifepristone 2 years ago, and said, please consider the Comstock Act. And Clarence Thomas said, we should consider the Comstock Act. And for those of you that don't know what that is, this is some wild. Can I tell the story? Because it's like,
please, yes,
the most wild. It's the most wild.
Comstock is a character.
Whoa. Okay. So Anthony Comstock was this religious dude back in the 1800s, who raised by a single mom, but zealous. And when he was fighting in the Civil War, his war buddies were receiving pornography through the mail and to where they were. And he was appalled. So he was grossed out by that. And so then he opened up a dry goods store in New York and saw that there was, women of the night who were like lurking around the dry goods store. And then he started reading the newspapers and seeing that you could get morally objectionable products sent through the U.S. Postal Service. So Anthony Comstock, dry goods salesman, said, what I'm going to do, I'm going to send away for every lewd and lascivious thing I can get my hands on for research. And then I'm going to drive all of my bounty of naughtiness to Congress. And then I'm going to do a display to show all of the things you can get through the mail: abortifacients, vibrators, sex toys, porn, all of it. So he shows up at Congress, and this is fascinating. Congress at that time was embroiled in a bribery scheme, bipartisan bribery scheme, where they were taking money and doing kickbacks with the railroad to the tune of millions of dollars. Congressional approval has never been lower until maybe now. So they were like, oh, here comes the morality police. And if we pass this, then America will look fondly upon us. So not only do they pass they're so excited. So they pass a law that says you can't send anything that will tamper with the morals of America through the U.S. Postal Service. And Anthony Comstock, thank you for bringing this to our attention. We're going to name it after you, and we're going to let you implement it. So Comstock got to put people in different postal services throughout the country. They were digging through people's mail. There was people who were committing suicide because they were found out. Like, it was terrible. And so they've slightly chipped away at it, but they never took this law off the books. And so one of the fun things we've done at Abortion Access Front is we've created an Anthony Comstock character. We've reanimated him and brought him back from the dead. And we actually had him debate Tina Smith on the Senate floor, or not on the Senate floor, but in the Senate, a room where they do their videotapes for where Susan Collins was, for example, talking to people. And it was really funny to raise awareness. And we have a whole, at our website, aafront.org, you can read all about the Comstock Act. You can read all about Stop Comstock, which is a law that is actually that we're trying to resurrect and get passed, and our work on that as well. You can actually sign a petition to say, stop this crazy law, but it's on the books and it's real. And they're digging so hard to not only just drag us back to the 18th century, they're using 18th century laws to do it. So